Well, here we go. Today is the day the city of Albuquerque has set to sign off on a very important agreement with the U.S. Justice Department.
Yeah, the agreement is all about overhauling the troubled Albuquerque Police Department. The agreement day comes after the Department of Justice released a plan to revamp APD last month. This after it hammered APD for its use of excessive force over the years. The agreement calls for more oversight, more training, and it adds more layers to investigations. It also calls for the agency to dismantle some troubled units. The City Council approved the plan last week. The agreement also comes with about a $4 million price tag every single year for the next couple of years. A federal monitor will be chosen to make sure the department is following that agreement.
All right, 5:32 right now. One neighborhood association in Albuquerque says despite recent changes to a big plan to revamp Central, there's still a lot of safety concerns.
Yeah, the plan would completely transform 13 miles of Central Avenue, making a designated lane for buses. Tonight, they will voice their concerns in a meeting with city officials about the BRT plan. But before they do, we did. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is live on Central near Stanford with the details.
That's right, Crystal. The issue is ABQ Ride's current BRT plan calls for creating a designated lane for buses right down Central and the elimination of many left turn lanes. Now, without those lanes, residents in this area say the city is proposing people make U-turns in certain spots, like right here at Central and Stanford. Now, residents say that's a big concern. Neighborhood Association President Joe Gallego says there's just too much traffic down Central for U-turns. The city says the idea is that with the designated lane for buses, it'll cut down on traffic and speed up the bus system. The city says it's heard input from the public for 2 years and has made changes. But Gallegos and his neighbors aren't on board with many of those recent changes, saying more needs to be done. They say the turn lanes help with business accessibility, and without them, people may bypass local shops or go around, clogging up traffic on smaller side streets. And they're worried it will affect first responders, too. We asked the city about Gallegos' concerns. They told us they have 3 alternatives and gave us a hint as to what they might involve.
U-turns at certain points, things like that. There are other alternatives where they can relocate those. I'm not sure where they are, and to talk about them and to detail them, I haven't seen them yet, but I know that they.
ABQ Ride officials say they'll present those 3 alternatives at tonight's meeting. They say they'll also listen to residents' concerns and get that feedback. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Catherine. The city says it also plans to get more input at tonight's meeting and incorporate it into the design. That meeting is set for 7:30. Actually, it's set for 6 to 7 at 120 Vassar Southeast. The city says they'll probably have more public transportation meetings on this all the way through 2016.
We're expecting to learn more today about a SWAT situation that shut down a portion of Central for 6 hours yesterday. Police say it was all over a man with a gun who is suffering from some kind of mental episode. He was staying at a hotel across the street from the Downs Racetrack and Casino. The motel was evacuated, then SWAT officers, crisis negotiation teams, and K-9 units rushed over there.
The main thing is we have our crisis negotiators on scene trying to attempt to talk to this individual, and they're trying to contact him constantly to pick up a dialogue, have him come out of that room peacefully.
Now, the standoff ended peacefully. The man was taken to the hospital and will go to jail after. Police won't say who he is just yet, but that he had a felony warrant for his arrest.
Police think a 6-year-old boy here in New Mexico may have seen his own mother get murdered. Clovis police got a 911 call yesterday morning saying someone was screaming and there was a dead woman on a walking trail. That woman is Ariel Ulabari. She was just 23 years old. Police say a man found her 6-year-old son wandering in a parking lot nearby. The little boy was not hurt.
Prosecutors are trying to convince a judge to allow a young girl to testify against her older brother who's accused of murder. A judge has ruled twice now that Benjamin Hilburn's little sister cannot testify in the murder of their father because she could not decipher between reality and fantasy. Now, she was just 6 years old when she allegedly witnessed her 10-year-old brother shoot their dad Brian in the head at their Berlin home in 2009. But now Emily is 11 years old and prosecutors think it's time the judge hears from her.
The judge never put the child on the stand to question her to see whether or not she knew the difference between right and wrong, fact and fiction. It's critical, that's all. That's the only person outside of the father, who's no longer with us, who was there that night.
Now, both Emily's testimony from that night and a 911 call Benjamin made telling dispatchers he killed his dad have been ruled inadmissible because of their ages. Prosecutors can still appeal the dismissal of the 911 call to the state Supreme Court. Hilburn's attorneys want all of the charges dropped. A former inmate who served time in New Mexico's Old Main prison is telling a strange story this weekend. Samuel Chavez did time for murder. Now he's free and living in Las Cruces. And Chavez says the state tortured inmates, experimented on them, and sold their organs.
They tortured Sam Chavez while he was in there, that they tried to poison him, that they kept him in solitary for way too many years for no good reason at all.
Chavez's attorney now wants a judge to give them permission to dig on the grounds of the Old Main. He says there is buried evidence that will prove his story.
Well, a new state commission report finds New Mexico could stand to lose millions if Amtrak switches its Southwest Chief route. Right now, the passenger train travels from Los Angeles to Chicago through Albuquerque in northern New Mexico, but Amtrak says it simply cannot afford to maintain the aging tracks. So the company is asking New Mexico and 2 other states and BNSF to pay $4 million a year for a decade to keep the track intact. If not, Amtrak says it would switch its route, going through Gallup, Belen, and Clovis instead. The state says that could mean a loss of more than $3 million in tourism every year. The state also estimates 56 jobs would be lost. The governor's administration has yet to agree on any plan to make that happen.
There's been a big fight over that. Those in Valencia County want it to go through their area so they can benefit from the tourism dollars.
But you have people up north who say, no, they wanted to stay up there for the same exact reason.
Exactly.